Hi, this is Sieg, author of the Renegade Network Marketer, and I want to share with you, as some of you may have read of my story, how I overcame a particular challenge that really motivated me to work towards success. It was a story about our windshield business having done a slow death spiral for 2.5 years. And I was extremely motivated to turn around that situation and help us get back onto our financial footing. So that was that was in 2006, so 6 years ago. So do I deal with any kind of adversity now that I've reached really high levels of success? And if so, how do I deal with that? Yes, I deal with adversity all the time. But it's really what I was prepped with a mindset that helped precondition me in advance. Now, I'm not going to say I'm completely immune to challenge and adversity, anything but. However, I really do think that you can prep yourself to handle it better, especially as a business owner and when you are have that greater level of exposure. You have people who are relying on your ongoing motivation and action. So I've been hit with very, very serious adversities. I would say, probably pale in comparison to that initial adversity of trying to get my husband he was at an airport job eventually after that windshield business collapsed. So and I want to share 3 main points with you about that, how you too can prep yourself for adversity. Well, the one that you need to remember is, as a business owner, you're originally set up to help solve other people's problems. If you own a restaurant, you're there to feed food to people, right? But you find out as a business owner, you run into problems. In fact, that really becomes the higher order task that you're doing, more so than serving people, is you've got to run a profitable business. So that's the ongoing challenge and problem that you're faced with. So it's a mindset that you need to adapt rather than all the, yes, definitely the rewards, but you got to know in advance, you're going to have to become an expert problem solver all the time, day in and day out. It's that ability to really think on your feet and act responsively and not act in a reaction mode, okay? Now, there is something too then that my webmaster, I've known him for almost a decade now, actually, and he came on board with me, back in 2005. So we've got almost a 7-year relationship, him working with me to help provide web services. And whenever we go into our discussions as a staff, or even just he and I together, he'll say, you've got to go worst case scenario. Always go worst case scenario, way in advance. What's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, so that's a mindset rather than an expectation that everything is going to turn out happy and glorious and wonderful. Is, yes, you want to hope for the best, but you darn well better plan for the worst. And that has helped me considerably, because I am a really optimistic person, and I'm not saying that's not optimistic to do it. That's just prudence. That's being prudent and wise. Go worst case scenario. So he always preps me with that. So I'm really thankful for that. I also remember the advice given to me it was an owner of a company that I used to represent, and it was when I first hit really big success, and my business was scaling very rapidly, right when I was getting my husband out of that windshield business or the airport job. He said, Ann, you're going to develop the skin of a rhinoceros. Or he said, in business, you're going to have to do that, Ann. I didn't really know quite what he meant then, but I do now. And it's gotten close to that. You can't let so many things ruffle you all the time, getting your feathers ruffled over a lot of little stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. And a lot of things just roll off my back now, because I've kind of gotten beaten up over the years, and business has a way of doing that to you. It toughens you up. It's not for the weak or faint of heart. Also, it brings to mind something that I had heard at a conference I went to, where the speaker, his name was Evan Pagan, he referred to Rudy Giuliani, who of course, dealt with the whole 911 fallout, And he shared the story that his father actually prepped him in advance to know how to be more prepared in times of adversity. And he would actually put him into this physiological state of, where you go worst case scenario for whatever that is for you. And then you prep in your mind how you would react to that. Well, there's a neuroscience to that. You're actually developing those neural pathways, you're strengthening them. Some call it visualization, so that when those worst case scenarios hit, you're not reacting, you're proactive. You are able to stay in a more calm state. Because if you can't stay in a calm state, you're going to do some really weird, bad decisions. So I have definitely improved in this area. And I'm a fairly emotional person. I have, that was me growing up and as a child, but you've got to channel that into a strength. Now, I'll just wrap it up with one quick last story here. I currently do a webinar system that I am required to be in a webinar every Thursday night. And I was here up in my home in Minnesota, and my mother-in-law, I got off the phone with her, and she was having some big challenges. And I had worked in a nursing home for 4 years, so I knew how to assess things, and I thought, this sounds like congestive heart failure. This is about 20 minutes before my webinar. I called the paramedics, and then I told my eldest son, get over there, take care of grandma, go down to the hospital with her. I had to be in a complete and ready frame of mind to go in my promo webinar while my mother-in-law was being scooted down to ER, okay? I had to act fast and responsibly. It turned out she did have congestive heart failure, and I acted decisively and quickly to make that call, but boom, I had to be focused on my webinar. So you develop these traits over time. What I would encourage you to do is to really make this a part of your understanding, your comprehension of running your business. You are going to have everything imaginable thrown at you in business. In fact, some people say the bigger the target you become, the worse it's going to get. And it's true. So while you aspire to greatness and fame and all this, just know the arrows become bigger. And so you've got to prep yourself for that. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. Again, I am the author of a number of free reports as well. And if you like this kind of information, I do have a free report called The Attraction Marketer's Manifesto. You can go ahead and put in your name below to receive that free report. Now also, if you have any thoughts about how you've dealt with adversity, I'd love for you to share those thoughts as well. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll be talking soon. Bye-bye.